Hello and welcome to the Game for All show. This is episode 98. We're rapidly approaching that big whopping 100. And once again, we are down to just two because Jordan is away this weekend. I think he's celebrating a very important anniversary, I believe. I'm gonna go with that. I think that's the story.
I think that's right.
But I am joined by the one and only Luke from Eat Sleep Game. How you doing, Luke?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. It's very sunny and very warm today.
It is. It's very warm in here. It's only going to get hotter as I'm sure like my background is just going to become like completely white as the sun moves its way past the window.
Just takes you out like sunshine. Yeah. You ever watch that movie? Good movie.
It is. So we've been blessed once again. The last time I was, it was just the two of us. We had some big news, and once again this week we've got some pretty big news. It's not like earth-shattering. It doesn't change the outlook of the industry at all, but it changes how we look at the rest of 2022, really, because there's been a big delay from two Bethesda AAA games coming this year, which are Redfall. From Arcane Austin, their American studio, and from BGS themselves, Starfield. They've both been delayed into early or the first half of 2023. So yeah, big news that we'll get into a little bit later. We're also going to sort of take stock on what's going on with some of the other big third-party publishers. But before we get into that, we always discuss here on the Game for All show what we've been playing. So Luke, what have you been playing?
Elden Ring, poorly. As anyone that's watching my playthrough can attest to, I've died 36 times, I think, now, which, you know, it's painful.
Yeah. You enjoying it?
I am. I was trying to beat, I can't remember his name. I called him Margaret because it sounds similar to Margaret, I think it is. And I got a feling in the last episode I put out where I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm just not supposed to fight him yet, because the closest I got was halfway. So I've literally just turned around and I'm going in a different direction. I think I spotted a different building out in the distance, and sick, I'm gonna go that way now. Which is a nice, cool thing that you can do in Elden Ring. You could be like, sick, I'm not making any headway this way. I saw a thing that way. Let's go that way. Mm-hmm. Instead of having like two directions in like your more traditional Souls game. Otherwise, not really.
How far would you say now you're into Elden Ring?
Oh,
not very far. Okay.
Not very far, I don't think. No.
I'm still awaiting the sort of all clear from, I'm assuming it will be Digital Foundry, but I just want someone to tell me if I play it on console, it's going to be a flawless experience.
I haven't had any real trouble so far.
I think, I guess because you can now aim for 60 when there are dips, it's not as noticeable as, say, from 30 down to like 25, which is really noticeable. I think 60 to, say, 50 is not the same.
Yeah. I mean, like, where I am at the minute, it got super windy, and that's making it a little worse for wear, but it's not bad by any stretch.
Okay. So that's definitely on my radar, especially in light of big gaps opening up later this year where there's maybe not going to be much coming out. So Elden Ring's definitely on my radar, and I'm keen to also get back to Cyberpunk because I believe they've been that the new patch, the next gen patch, has been further refined so that it's not as buggy, because as anyone who listens to the show will remember, I experienced some pretty bad game breaking or game crashing bugs. So
I might make that my next like big game I play through after Elden Ring.
Go back to Cyberpunk. I'm sure you'll be amazed at all the stuff they've added or refined or removed or just improved since last time.
I like going back and playing it without the critical element and just, you know, kind of having fun with it. Like the bugs can be funny now instead of being like, oh, okay, got to write about that sort of thing.
Sure. And I've also heard as well, this is a slight tangent, that the GTA trilogy has been pretty well patched up. So I'm tempted to go back and play GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. Although I did just finish GTA 5, and those games are quite meaty. I know you can sort of blaze through the story content, but you don't want to. It kind of defeats the point. All those freaks and geeks are the fun of the of those games. But anyway, so just Elden Ring. That's all you've been playing?
Yeah, pretty much. I did a little bit of Power Wash Simulator again. They've got new levels coming. I think it's the end of this month.
Okay.
Which I'm very excited for. I did it in real life as well because I bought a pressure washer.
Fun.
It is a lot of fun.
It is a lot of
fun.
I
did my barbecue. It's very cool. I've been playing a bit of it's a mobile game. Can't remember what it's called. You're this weird goblin thing. Oh, damn it. Hold on. Phone. It is called Grindstone, that one.
Okay, I've played Grindstone. It's really good. It's really good. It's a puzzle game. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Because I saw a list somewhere. It was like, the best games to get on Switch. And I was like, let's see how accurate this is. And it came up with Grindstone. And I was like, I didn't even know it was on Switch.
Yeah. It's punishing as hell, though. That game gets real hard real quick.
Yeah.
Cool. What have I been playing? I have literally only been playing FIFA 22 because it came on to. I was waiting for it to come to Game Pass, but Sony swooped in.
Yeah, sure.
And it's come to PS Plus, and I'm enjoying it. This is probably the first time I've played FIFA, and I can't spot a difference. They've updated the menus. Obviously the models and stuff look a bit better. The game just generally looks a little bit cleaner and a little bit better, and the animations are better, but gameplay wise I am struggling to find a single difference.
Wasn't this supposed to be the first like next gen one?
Kind of, but I mean it's still cross gen, and the only thing I can see is that they've rolled out that advanced hair tech onto more players. In FIFA 21 they, with like a few key players like Messi, they put this really good hair tech so that the hair moved realistically as they were running around playing, jumping and stuff, which was really cool. And now it seems like they've rolled that out to more star players. But I'm still enjoying it. Like I love FIFA regardless, so I have no complaints, especially as it was a free game of the month for PS Plus subscribers. But yeah, I'm really struggling to like pinpoint, like it doesn't feel any different. Usually they focus on one or two major mechanics, whether it's goalkeeping or whether it's like dribbling this one just feels rinse repeat. But I'm already in, so I've had it for a week. I'm already in Division 3 on seasons, which is my preferred mode of play, which is pretty good going. So I'm dominating, so I haven't lost my touch. And it's probably what I'm going to play for the next week or so. Like I'm in it, right? And I want to get back to Division 1. That's usually my sort of my thing. And then once I've done that, I can sort of take my foot off the gas a little bit, and get back to playing some other stuff, because I am keen to get back to Death's Door. I've also got installed Tunic, so I want to check out Tunic. Did you ever finish that, by the way?
No, I'm actually going to do some more of that after this.
Cool. And then yeah, Cyberpunk and Elden Ring are sort of the next big games that I want to jump into.
Should we quickly discuss the big old FIFA elephant in the room?
Yeah, so we're moving. We had a nice little back and forth in our WhatsApp group, just because I didn't take too much of an issue with it, but FIFA is no longer going to be associated with EA Sports, so that partnership has ended.
Yeah, they've got one more year, haven't they?
Yeah,
the next
so
game is
exactly. There's FIFA 23, and then it moves on to.
Oh yeah, that's this year.
Yeah, someone else is going to move in and start developing a new FIFA game, whoever that might be. Could be Konami, it could be a new player, could
2K
be 2K could move in.
Yeah. I'm not sure if PES is gonna. It's not even called PES anymore,
no,
but I can't see them
forking out hundreds of millions for the license.
That, and I can't see like FIFA being like, oh yeah, we'll just move over here and have our, FIFA's got a pretty good name in game. Put it on PES or eFootball now, and that's just going to tank because it's a mess.
Yeah, full honesty, I haven't played eFootball in since it came out. So
I haven't. I just keep hearing.
I hear the same stuff. It's a bit rough. But yeah, so for EA's soccer game is now going to be called EA Sports
FC.
FC.
Yeah.
So football club. I don't think they've actually referred to it once as football club. I think it is very much, it's not like they're shortening it. It is FC.
Mhm.
And I actually think it's a smart name. A lot of people disagreed with me, but I think it sounds quite similar to FIFA. I think it allows them to build the franchise into additional titles, FC Street, FC, whatever it might be. And it's short, it's catchy enough. It doesn't sort of doesn't butt heads with any of their other titles that they have going on. And I think they're gonna be absolutely fine.
Yeah, I don't particularly have. I think there are other names they could have used, but it makes sense. It's not like they're being stupidly ambiguous with what the name is. It makes sense. Like, people are still going to call it FIFA regardless, until whoever makes a FIFA game makes a FIFA game again. And it will just allow them to do different things, because we heard from them that they've been craving to put other twists on FIFA, and they haven't been allowed to because FIFA don't want them to do that. So now they're going to be able to do whatever the hell else it is they've wanted to do. So we're going to see some more creativity, hopefully. Maybe I'll play them again.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, EA has been through the wars with all of their franchises. Boxing, they've really struggled to get boxing licenses to actually fill out a roster to make a new fight night. They've struggled with golf games. They had Tiger Woods for a while, then Tiger Woods ran into personal trouble, which I think unfairly meant he lost his game, and that went to Rory McIlroy for a while, and then that disappeared, and then they went to EA the Masters. I think they had 1 year they did the EA the Masters, and now they've just acquired Codemasters, so they've got the Formula One license again. And it looks like this year they're expanding that, so now it includes like F3, so like the lower divisions of Formula Racing. So there's a lot going on with EA Sports.
Yeah, and I think all that you just said really kind of makes it really poignant why it's not quite as simple as calling it EA Premier League or EA Champions League or whatever. It's because FIFA encompasses much more than any of the golf games do, any of the Formula One games do. They engulf. It's a worldwide thing.
Yeah. Plus, they have that full now women's division on the game.
Sure. Yeah.
So
yeah,
it is. I think EA Football Club or EA FC or whatever. I think it sort of covers all bases. But yeah, I'm hoping it actually ends up being a better product for it, because the amount they would have had to pay FIFA every year, that's no chump change. Like, that would have been extortionate amounts of money.
Yeah, it is ridiculous money.
So hopefully we see a better product and they can put that money back into the game. We'll see. Or this, it might become I can imagine EA starting to play around with options such as a free-to-play version of the game.
And making it a live service or something.
Making it live service, or potentially, we see more integration with services such as Game Pass.
I wouldn't be surprised if Ultimate Team becomes a free thing, like a free standalone thing.
Yep.
Or, like I said, just make the whole thing a live service. That would be, people have been crying out for that years. People don't want to just keep buying the same game year in, year out for pretty much the same game with, different kits.
Sure.
Rosters moved around. You could do that in an update. They do that in updates. You don't need to buy a whole new game for that.
Yeah, indeed. So yeah, that's what's going on with EA and FIFA. And I mean, I'm super curious to see who FIFA is going to sell that license to. I can only imagine the first couple of iterations are going to be a hot mess, because FIFA
it's going to be weird.
Is like 20 years. EA has been making these soccer games forever, and they're pretty damn good. You can complain about the £60, £70 a year to just get the roster updates and minor updates to the game, but if you ignore the value proposition, it's a really solid game. It's fun to play.
I don't think there has been a straight up bad one in forever.
Yeah,
like they have all been at the very least serviceable.
Yeah,
like they've been on par with like last year's version, sort of thing. Like, it's only noticeable when they're like this year, when there aren't really any differences. But there are reasons for that, pandemic and whatnot. But yeah, it is going to be really interesting, because I do wonder what else it is they are going to be able to do now, because it's, like I said, that's what one of the biggest things they were complaining about was how restrictive FIFA are.
Mm-hmm.
So be really interesting to see where it goes now.
Indeed. All right, so moving on to what the big topic of the show is in the past week, we learned that Bethesda, the publisher, has delayed 2 of its major 2022 releases in Starfield and Redfall. I don't think anyone was too hopeful for Redfall. We hadn't seen a lot of it. We saw a cinematic teaser, and we actually hadn't seen or heard anything about this game since, I want to say, was it E3 last year around that time that it was announced?
I think so, yeah.
I believe so. And we also got the announcement for Starfield's release date at E3 last year, or Xbox's version of E3. And they've been pushed back at the same time, which I found a little bit strange to have like this joint announcement. I also found it strange that it's on the back of an announcement of an Xbox Summer Showcase coming in a couple weeks' time that heavily hints at more details about Starfield. Like the key art for the showcase is like the Xbox logo blended in with the Starfield key art of the sort of the sun coming out from behind a planet or a moon or whatever it might be.
I was the same last year as well. Like last year, it was very much a kind of Starfield
like
feel.
They are banking a lot of their marketing around Starfield. So it's very strange to do that, to make that announcement, get everyone excited that we're going to finally see Starfield, to then they simmer everyone's expectations by saying, sorry guys, this game's not coming out until 2023.
I wonder if Xbox pushed for a release date of some kind so they could just have it as a big thing in the showcase instead of just leaving Bethesda to do Bethesda things.
Maybe.
It seems kind of odd.
The whole thing seems odd to me. I mean,
18 months kind of in advance that we were told of its release date. Yeah, that's weird. That's bizarre.
It is bizarre. I appreciate the significance of the date. I think it was 10 years to the day of the release of Skyrim, which makes it makes sense. But then, just why take the chance? Like they could have still played on that. They could have still released that date today. Like if it was still on track, they could have saved that announcement for a bit closer.
Absolutely. And like it's a completely new franchise anyway, so who really cares?
Indeed.
Like, just release it when it's ready.
Yeah. So I guess the first thing to consider is what this means for let's before we go into what it means for Xbox more generally, let's talk about these games specifically. Does it make you more or less worried about the condition these games are in? Are you expecting these games to come out early 2023, or do you think they've left it vague for a reason?
I would imagine, I don't really care about Redfall. It's not my kind of game. I didn't see really anything appealing. There's 1,000 of them coming out, so it's much of a muchness for me. Starfield. No, Starfield. I get the feeling it'll be mid next year. I get the feeling it's probably another 18 months sort of thing. Because I saw someone make a good point on Twitter that, all we've seen of it so far has been concept. Considering it was supposed to be coming out in about 6 months' time, we've seen nothing tangible.
Do you expect to see it at the showcase?
Oh yeah, I would imagine we'll see something. I don't know how significant the stuff we will see is, though. I wouldn't be surprised if we get like a first proper trailer for it, because we kind of had the kind of teasery bit from last year's one, I think it was. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to get like a more tangible trailer this year. But it's not a massive surprise that he got pushed back. It was always, whenever a game's in that kind of November, December slot, it's always like, okay, so that might be next year then. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really seen enough of it to decide. Like, I'm curious if it just looks like Fallout in space. I kind of want it to evolve a bit, because if it's just going to be Fallout in space, like, well, we already have that with multiple games. Not, Outer
Worlds. Yeah.
I always got to be careful with that. I always trip up on them. Like, we already have that with Outer Worlds, like, and they did a fantastic job. So I think that's put Starfield kind of, especially if Outer Worlds 2 comes out before Starfield as well, which I doubt, but it might.
Yeah, I can't see that one. I think that's behind Avowed.
Oh yeah, they've got Avowed as well. That's
Mm.
true. That's true. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a gauge on it, because we haven't seen anything. We've seen concept art. We've seen
I mean, we've had a
thingy.
few of those roundtables from
Yeah.
devs, including Todd Howard himself, and I'm actually really keen on this game. I get the impression, just through the tone of the marketing so far, that it's not going to be Fallout in space. That it's going to have a lot more of a serious tone, more aligned to the Elder Scrolls series, even more serious, I would say, than that, because I think there's still goofy elements in some of those Elder Scroll games, and that it's going to be more of like a space opera, more along the lines of like Star Trek and Star Trek, Mass Effect, that kind of stuff, rather than the sort of high action, high octane stuff of, say, Star Wars. And I definitely can't see any of the comedy coming through, at least in the promotional materials. I think Fallout has like this immediate.
It has a bit of like the Fable thing to it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Where it's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm hoping it has a strong point of difference to games such as Outer Worlds, and even games such as Mass Effect. I don't think it should be aping that whatsoever.
Sure.
But you're totally right. We haven't seen anything of it. We've had a few leaks as to, there's going to be factions and multiple races at war. And like, that sounds all really interesting, but it's really hard to put that in the context of what a traditional Bethesda game studios
Yeah,
game
for sure.
is.
If it could be somewhere between like Mass Effect and what No Man's Sky wanted to be, that would be excellent. That would be fantastic. That would be very good. But I'm not. I am very much someone who needs to, kind of see what it is first. Like, it all sounds good in theory, but we don't know what the execution actually even remotely looks like currently. We've seen concept art and stuff like that. That looks cool. But concept art, for the most part, always looks cool. I like concept art. It's fun to imagine. The only problem is you can probably imagine a better game than you get 9 times out of 10.
Sure.
So I need to see it. I need to see it being the first brand new Bethesda IP in yonks doesn't impress me. Like, that's not. I don't really care about that. I just want, I like having fun with games, and I can't see if this is fun or not yet. I can't see if it's something that's going to appeal to me or not yet. We don't even know, like, if it's going to have online components or stuff like that. We don't know what that's going to look like. We know very little.
Yeah.
Very little to go on at the moment.
Sure. Okay, so then I guess going back to Xbox now not having an announced major release this year. So they have some exclusives lined up. Some of them are up in the air, such as Stalker 2.
Stalker 2 is not coming out.
Yeah, I think we could safely assume it's probably not going to hit this year. And then we have no other confirmed major releases coming out to Game Pass this year.
No, we assume obviously that Forza's coming, but that's, it's Forza, it's expected. It's otherwise it is completely barren now.
What do you think that means for Xbox? Do you think they can survive a year without a major AAA release, or do you think they're gonna dip into their money bags and pull one out the bag like they did, say, with Outriders or with not Left 4 Dead. What was it called? Back 4 Blood.
Back 4 Blood, yeah. I fully expect that they're going to dip in. They're already, we know they're not satisfied with where like the Game Pass numbers are because they haven't like properly announced them in a while. They've kind of said about it on the side. Whereas normally they're like, we've hit this many subscribers. It was just kind of like, oh yeah, we've hit this as well, by the way. I imagine because one of the big selling points of Game Pass is day one exclusive games. If you haven't got any day one exclusive games, and Sony's about to launch their thing, Nintendo have got their games on the rollout, PC have got whatever games coming out. Who is kind of thinking about buying into Game Pass, but then sees that there's nothing there for them kind of to look forward to, sort of thing. The games that are going to be added might have already played, or they might not be interested in. They want new shiny things, and they're not going to get any new shiny things from Xbox directly.
Yeah, sure. So let's just take this opportunity. I'm going to go through, because someone helpfully put together on Twitter a graphic of all the announced games scheduled to come to Game Pass this year, and some of it you have to take with a pinch of salt because there will be delays. But I'm gonna reel them off. So there's an expected 1.0 version of Grounded to be released this year. Not very exciting for I think the majority of Xbox fans. I think it has its audience, and that's great. A little bit like Sea of Thieves, but on a smaller scale, I imagine. I've played that game twice now, and neither time has it inspired any interest. Like, I was just so bored by it. But then it's not my cup of tea, and I reckon it's probably got a younger audience, which finds it quite fun and entertaining. They also have Deathloop coming later this year, which for Xbox fans might be exciting. If you aren't one of those that has access to a gaming PC or PlayStation. But I mean, at this point, Deathloop you can get on PlayStation for like £15, and that's not inspiring me to believe that the game's performing all that well.
No, absolutely not. And like it got a lot of hype and stuff like that, but it wasn't. It wasn't that good. It was fine. It wasn't. It kind of was.
I am actually looking forward to checking it out when it comes to Game Pass. The initial reviews from the people I tend to follow, they weren't that keen on it, and they said sort of this formula has been done better, and Arcane has released better.
I distinctly remember like Skill Ups, because he talked about Prey's expansion being pretty much the same game but way better.
Moonfall?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I really want to try it out after watching that.
We also have Sniper Elite 5, which is coming day one to Game Pass. That's a cool get, but again, super niche, and maybe that series is a little long in the tooth at this point. Like, hasn't really changed the formula, but it's something, and it's co-op, and it feeds into like Xbox's focus on multiplayer games that come to Game Pass. Pac-Man Museum. I know nothing about this game, but I'm assuming it involves some Pac-Man.
Great.
Yep. I reckon it's probably just going to be a collection of Pac-Man games like 365 and Championship Edition and the CE Edition, and Miss Pac-Man, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Then we've got some Ubi games coming later this year, which might tie into something else we'll discuss in a little bit. Origins and For Honor are both announced for Game Pass later this year.
Origins?
Yeah, Assassin's Creed Origins.
So not Odyssey or
Valhalla. Not yet, anyway. Yeah.
Well, okay. That's a choice.
And that should be tying in with the new next-gen patch for Origins. I think it's getting like a 60 FPS update.
Right.
And frankly, if you haven't played an Assassin's Creed game lately, that's the one to play. Origins is awesome.
Sure.
Then we have the Shadowrun trilogy coming to Game Pass. That's coming pretty soon. I think it's coming in June.
Shadowrun?
Yeah, so that's an old sort of top-down isometric CRPG. I'm actually looking forward to playing that. I've never played that series, but it's a Sean game for sure. Then we have one that I think we're both looking forward to, and that's 2 Point Campus, which is coming very soon.
Oh yeah.
That's a really good get for Game Pass because it works really well across all of their various platforms. I think it works well on obviously PC. It's the console ports are pretty good. I imagine the cloud version is quite good. It's not a game that requires amazing lag input, so you can play that on your phone quite comfortably.
I did that with 2 Point Hospital when all the cloud stuff first came out. It worked pretty well, to be fair.
This one I'm not familiar with. Midnight Fight Express. Any idea? Do you want to give that a quick Google? What's involved with
Midnight Fight Express?
Yeah. Then we also have Warhammer 40k Dark Tide. Again, I know very little of that, and I get I want to say that's already come out on PC. Not sure. I feel like there's a lot of. This is Warhammer 40k Dark Tide.
Oh right, okay, yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Then we have the. It's a bit of a joke at this point. Scorn. I mean, this was meant to be a day one Xbox Series release day, launch exclusive that we haven't seen. It had a massive, 40-minute gameplay demo that you can go and watch, and it's the most dull, boring, gray crap as far as I'm concerned. It just looks terrible. But
yeah, it looks like they've tried to get alien vibes, but turn up the horror a bit more, and it just looks more. It looks like Prometheus, but it just looks like a crap Doom.
If you're listening and you haven't seen this game, go watch the YouTube the YouTube demo and tell me what you think, because honestly, I couldn't get anything from it. It looked boring, slow. It didn't look scary. It was so gray. It didn't look dark enough.
Yeah. It looked like. Do you remember when they were rebooting Doom and they showed that original trailer where it was all just bland and crap? That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
And then they made Doom awesome.
It has the color palette of Turok, from the old N64 days.
Yeah.
It's just gray, kind of green.
That Midnight Fight thing is like a top-down brawler.
Oh, cool. Okay.
It looks, it looks okay.
Yeah. Then we have Hello Neighbor 2. I've never been a fan of that series, but I know it's got a big following, kind of like how Five Nights at Freddy's has a fan base.
Basically, Game Theory made it really popular.
Right. Yeah. So that's one for your old Twitch streamers and YouTube content creators and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Stalker 2, which I think is pretty up in the air if that's going to actually release this year,
or if it's ever actually going to. Given what's going on, they might just unfortunately disappear.
Yeah, I hope that game comes out because
me too. Me too.
For me, of all of the, and it's not a shown game by any stretch, but I think it's shown really well every time we've seen it. It looks really cool.
Yeah. I can remember that the first time they showed it with the campfire bit, and it was like, wait, shit, that was in game. That's mental. It looked real. It was remarkable.
Yeah, it does look incredible. Another good looking game, A Plague Tale Requiem. I expect to see this at the showcase.
Yeah, we haven't seen it for a while. I think last time I remember seeing it was maybe on that last Xbox one, actually.
If I had to guess, this game's not coming out this year, but I can imagine Xbox really trying hard to get it to come out this year, because that would be a good get for them. It's not a console exclusive, but it is a day one to Game Pass, so that could be a really good stopgap to keep everyone happy until 2023. As Dusk Falls, I want to say this is like a story-driven narrative story. What do you call it? Walking sim type of experience.
It looks like it. Interactive drama, yes.
Okay. So like visual novel style stuff. This one I think is has potential to be a big one, and that's Atomic Heart, which is still scheduled to come out later this year.
If that's even half of what I hope it to be, that's going to be fantastic. It looks like Russian BioShock.
It does, yes. And that's being made in Russia. So
yeah.
Interesting one, because I don't know if Microsoft has or intends to take a stance on what's going on in Russia. I don't think they've actually halted sales or done anything to sort of play into the sanctions on Russia or the Russian people. I imagine sort of Microsoft's too big to do that, to sort of revoke Windows and revoke Xbox Live and that kind of stuff. But I wonder if there will be any pushback from Xbox funding a Russian game. Party Animals. This one looked quite fun. Classic Game Pass fodder. I'm also expecting Fall Guys to be releasing on Xbox soon. It hasn't been announced, but they announced, I think it was today or yesterday, that they have a big announcement coming on the 16th of May.
Okay. So I mean, didn't they say that last year as well? And then nothing actually happened, bizarrely. It was supposed to be, or no, it got announced, didn't it? And it got given a date, and then it just didn't come out.
It didn't come out, yeah.
Like they didn't say anything either. It just went by and it didn't happen. It was so weird.
Yeah, it really does belong on Game Pass. It also belongs on Switch. Like that game deserves a wider audience than what
Do you think it's too late?
No. I think everyone will jump back on it. Pigeon Simulator. Fuck knows what that is.
Okay. Yeah. I guess it's like Goat Simulator, but pigeons.
Maybe. Replaced. Again, I know nothing of this game.
Isn't that the cyberpunky looking one that I thought was
that's the last night, I think.
Yeah, there's another one.
Is there another one?
Yeah, there's another one.
Is this the one that kind of looked like a Castlevania and Cyberpunk combined?
Maybe.
Have a look. Then we've got Slime Rancher 2. Again, has its fans, but it's not a crowd pleaser, I wouldn't say by any stretch. And then another story-driven game. Is that the Castlevania one?
Yeah, it's the one with the scene where they stood on top of that futuristic train.
Okay.
Looks cool.
Yeah. And then we got Somerville, which I think is another narrative-driven game.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. But I gotta say, like, there's a few interesting ones in there. I think we can both agree 2 Point Campus and Atomic Heart are up there for and Requiem, A Plague Tale Requiem.
Yeah. Yeah, and I really want to check out that one you just mentioned that I've already forgotten the name of. Replaced.
Yeah.
But there's nothing grabbing.
I know there's nothing
I need to play that.
There's nothing to hang your coat on and be like, that's what I'm playing later this year.
And like, even if they, FIFA's coming, it's like, sure, but like, people who are going to buy FIFA are going to get FIFA regardless. Yeah. I don't think that's going to move anybody.
Yeah.
I think it moves some people.
We've got Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 coming later this year, which will obviously be a monster hit. But it does just feel like we've been zapped, like there's not a lot to look forward to this year.
It feels a lot like that launch year when they're like, yeah, Halo. Hey, oh shit. It's gone.
It's gone.
It is the same thing. They're like, yeah, Starfield. It's gone. It's gone again. Like I don't know, maybe they're cursed or something.
Yeah. And at the same time, we don't really have much announced on the Sony front. We still are expecting that, like, there's no reason not to believe that God of War is going to come this year. As in, they haven't said anything to the other to counter it. And we did see a good, decent bit of gameplay in the last showing.
Yeah, and like conversely, we've already had a bunch of stuff from PlayStation. We've had Sifu wasn't them, but Sifu, Horizon, GT7. They're towards the end of the year is not normally where they play. They play with third parties there generally.
Yeah. And they're still saying, I think everyone doubts it, but they're still saying Hogwarts is coming later this year. There's a chance that Final Fantasy 16 comes this year.
Nah, I don't think so.
I mean, yeah, but there's a lot that, while we believe it or don't believe it, they're still touted. You go to the website, coming 2022. And we still don't know what's coming from Naughty Dog with Last of Us Factions. There's also rumors of Last of Us Part 1 remake. Which could be further along. So there's a lot in the works for Sony. So yeah, Xbox, it's a weird one because they're coming off the back of 3 or 4 months where they're outperforming PlayStation. They're outselling the PlayStation 5 for a variety of reasons. They've got the entry level Series S, which is performing very well. I think it just appears like they're getting their hands on more chips, which means they can make more consoles. But regardless, they're doing so well. And whether whether we liked those games or not, Halo was very popular. Forza Horizon was very popular. Psychonauts 2 was very popular.
Yep.
And now it's just come to a complete halt again.
They cannot get any momentum at all.
It's amazing that they've let this happen.
Yeah.
So
I'm still. I cannot believe that we're coming up for 6 months into the year and they haven't had a game launch. They've had nothing.
Yeah.
They had a string of, like I said, Psychonauts, Halo, Forza, and absolutely killed the last 3 months, 4 months of last year, and they've just been barren ever since. And
yeah, I mean the closest
it looks
thing,
like they're going to be barren for the rest of the year as well.
it sounds that way. Yeah.
It's mad. This is a perfect opportunity for them to just capitalize and keep on building. The Switch is starting to fall off a bit as well. They could make up some major ground here, but it's just fallen away.
Yeah.
It's just completely fallen away, and it is just baffling. It's just baffling.
And at some point, all of these games are going to be ready, and I don't know how they're going to manage that across a 12-month period. Like, you imagine what's scheduled for 2023 from Hellblade to Starfield to Avowed to Redfall to they're obviously going to have this new Activision deal going through in the next 6 months, so they're
maybe
going to have
Fable, the Scorn, maybe like they're going to have 1,000 games to come out, and
they've got this small project from Josh Sawyer,
sure.
Obsidian.
The Rare game as well that we forgot to talk about, because where's
is that Everwild?
Yeah, where the hell is that?
Where is that? Yeah,
that's falling off the face of the planet. That it's so bizarre, and they're making it so difficult for themselves.
Yeah, there's rumors of Gears remake, like the OG trilogy, I think, is being remade.
Sure.
They've also got new Halo expansions, I assume, coming out. Beyond once they finally get Forge out, which is another fuck up. Like Forge and the co-op mode are still missing in action.
Just on Gears does not need a remake.
No,
in the slightest, because like it looks the way it is because it's meant to look the way it does. It's meant to be dark and grungy and like it's in a shit world. That's half of the point. I'd leave it alone. Just leave it be. Yeah. Especially with Game Pass, it's not like you can't get the original trilogy and it's up-res because of the tech they've got.
Yeah. It's been game boosted.
Yeah. That's such a weird one. Like that kind of that stinks of desperation to get something out, I think.
Yeah, I worry about that franchise because I don't think it hits. Like, I just don't think. I can imagine them having that internal conversations like, well, what if we remade Gears 1 and made it for a new audience? I just don't think it hits. Like, I don't think it is going to land with the kids today.
They missed their chance. Their chance was with Gears 4 when they showed off that trailer and everyone was like, oh, it looks like it's going more horror. And then they didn't. That was really the chance to pivot and change it into something else. I think they've missed the boat massively. Like, Gears is still good, but it is just that eternal, it just comes out and people are like, yeah, Gears.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't move a needle. It just kind of is.
It is, yeah. It just feels dated at this point. A little bit like Doom, and while I think those are higher quality games, I think Doom and Doom Eternal are very, very good. I think their audience, like the days of wanting that kind of brutal, violent action game, it's just not kind of what hits anymore. I don't know if I'm off base or not, but I feel like kids today, they want Fortnite and
I mean, if Doom didn't have the Doom name attached, I don't think it would have sold anywhere near as well as it did. If it didn't have the legacy that it did. Same with Wolfenstein, probably.
Yeah.
Those games are fantastic, but if it wasn't for the name attached to them and the legacy, I don't know if they would sell that well.
Sure.
Because we've seen loads of other, very similar games. There was one called Beats Per Minute, BPM. Very similar thing, but it's got a rhythm tinge to it. It's a cool kind of idea, but it just didn't do anything. It doesn't play all that differently to Doom. It's not quite as fluid, but it's Doom.
Sure.
Effectively. And like the only what kind of first person shooter like that does well other than Call of Duty and to a degree Battlefield, I guess. They don't really.
Yeah.
Sure. But then that's a co-op multiplayer thingy, isn't it?
Yeah, you're not wrong. Like it's kind of like FPSs have never been bigger, but also this we've never had less of them. Like I don't know how well Far Cry did. I imagine Far Cry 6 did as well as any other Far Cry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't even know how we got here, but it does feel like Xbox needs some new franchises and needs some new IP. And so yeah, rehashing Gears.
Like that would be fine if we hadn't had a Gears game in like 5-10 years. But you know, we had one 2 years ago, something like that.
3, something like that. Although if you haven't played it, Gears Tactics, that's the shit. That's a very good game. That's a very, very good game. Oh, Gears Pop. Maybe that's what Xbox will.
Oh my god!
Will fill the Christmas gap.
Wait, has that not come out?
It's not come out. So maybe they'll release Gears Pop.
Hopefully not.
That'll do it.
We don't need that.
We
don't need that. Yeah, they're in such a bizarre place. Like, yeah, people push back on the mismanagement thing, but like, what else is it? Like, it is absolutely just mismanagement.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. Like leading, like how have we not had damn it, I forgot the name. Hellblade. How have we not had Hellblade? That was literally the first game they showed off
for the
with the new console, and we have not had it. Yeah. They pushed Halo. They put Halo on the fucking box and didn't get it. Like it is bizarre that a company with infinite supplies of money and talent, and you know, buying up even more talent, can't seem to publish a game outside of Forza or Halo. Really, because
and let's be honest. I mean, Halo released half a game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which is probably what they should have just done. Just been like, here is the story, or here is the multiplayer. Like, pick one, focus on that, get it out. Instead,
I mean that multiplayer, it's not doing well. Like I try and keep up with what people are saying about it. You know, like the big fans who sort of tune in every week to get their to make progress on the season on the battle pass. And people are kind of bored of it. Like it's not.
Well, there's nothing.
It's not sticky enough.
Yeah, there's nothing else there. It's the same thing it has been since launch, really, isn't it?
They just recently started season 2, which came out with 2 new maps and a couple new modes, like King of the Hill. But it's like these aren't new modes to Halo. It's not.
No, that should have been the stuff that was.
Play Halo.
That should have been built in already. They should be on top of, like, building on top of that rather.
Yeah, and the Forza Horizon sort of bubble has burst. No one talks about that game. I'm sure it has a massive player base of people who love that game, but it's like the Xbox buzz is it's over. They're riding off Game Pass, right? So Game Pass is still golden. People still enjoying the fact that great new games are coming to it all the time. But they're going to have to, I think we talked about it earlier, you know, dip into their purse and bring in something big to announce for later this year. So if you had your pick, I guess let's have 2 picks. So what would you like them to bring to Game Pass day 1 later this year? And what do you think they'll bring in to appease their massive now install base of Series S's and Series X's?
I don't know. We kind of talked about this a little bit last week, I think. I honestly, I don't really know, because it doesn't feel like there's too much out there to grab that we know of at the minute for the rest of the year. Like Starfield was the big thing for the year, and now it's gone. There's always like the Persona talk, but I don't know. I'm kind of with you on that. I feel like everyone that wants to play Persona has
100%,
and everyone that's like desperate. You know, there will of course be people who discover it and you know, become a fan sort of thing, but that's not where the money is. The money is, you know, pulling people over. And
yeah, exactly. You're not going to sell a Game Pass subscription because you get Persona.
No, exactly. And Atlas and Sega seem very, very happy with what Persona 4 did on PC. If they put it on Game Pass, that kind of eliminates that. So I would imagine it will be PC before it's ever on Xbox, or it'll be on Xbox but not Game Pass.
Did Persona 4 Golden come to Switch late? Am I remembering that correctly?
Possibly.
Like, is there a chance we see P5 on Switch before it comes to Xbox, if ever? Persona.
They have Persona 5 Strikers.
Yeah, Persona 4
I don't actually know.
Switch. Let me have a look. Yeah, it's coming to Switch. Is it? Is it coming to Switch?
It probably is. I honestly wouldn't be surprised. That'd be a fantastic place for it because most people loved playing it on PSP. So no, PS Vita, sorry. I honestly don't know what. It kind of feels like they've missed the big things. I mean, maybe they get something with Saints Row, but that doesn't feel that big.
You know what? That's not actually a bad shout. That seems like a Game Pass game to me.
Possibly, yeah.
Is that out this year? Are they still on track to come out this year?
I think so. Yeah, because it got pushed about because it was February.
Okay.
Then it got pushed. I think it was about a month or two, and then it got pushed to August, I think.
Okay. So we've got Gotham Knights, which is
not coming
scheduled.
out this year.
You don't think so? Scheduled for
so.
October 25th.
Yeah, I don't think that's coming out this year. Like it just I was watching, I think What Culture were talking about it, and it gives off really bad Avengers vibes. It's not giving off like Guardians vibes where like people were kind of like skeptical, but it looks cool.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It kind of looks like they're even though you're playing as the 4 different characters, they're giving everybody a way to glide, and they're not really making them individual characters beyond what color glider they have, or stuff like that. Like
sure.
Avatar.
Yeah, if that's coming out this year.
I really don't know. I couldn't give you one, let alone two. Like Elden Ring would have been the game breaker.
Yeah,
but it's gone. Like, they've missed that.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I'm expecting Dying Light 2 to pop up on Game Pass before the end of the year. I don't think that game did as well as they were expecting.
Sure, I was thinking of games that haven't actually come out.
No, I'm with you. Like I'm totally with you. I asked the question with that in mind. Like, what game could they get day and date? But I think you're totally right. There's a lot of games
there isn't anything
that just probably aren't going to make it this year. So I wonder, okay, well, do they make it up with some recent hits, right? So Dying Light 2, Elden Ring could be one that they stick on the service later this year. It could be that they go after UB Plus, which is something you've talked about before. And UB Plus could be a really big get for them because that would include things like Valhalla and Far Cry 6.
It would be cool. And then like any the future launches that are coming out potentially. I don't know if there's a separate tier for that, like with the EA thing or not, but
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, they could try and get some day and date games from EA.
Maybe
like FIFA, try and get that day and date on Game Pass, but
I would be shocked if that happened. Oh, that would be a massive surprise if that actually happened.
Yeah.
Especially because like hasn't EA Play recently gone on PlayStation as well?
Don't know. Maybe.
It was recently on PlayStation.
They need to do something, right? And they might have some stuff up their sleeve. They might have another game an unannounced game that could shadow launch later this year. But if I just look at Nintendo, they've got Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which is almost a guaranteed banger. Like that's going to be 85 plus on Metacritic. They've got Splatoon 3 coming later this year.
Yep.
Sony have Forspoken, which, to be fair, to me, it doesn't look like that high of a quality game.
Is Forspoken exclusive?
Yeah.
Oh, right. I didn't know that.
Exclusive, yeah. I don't even think it's a timed exclusive. I'm pretty sure that's like a Sony published game. I could be wrong. But again, we haven't seen much of that game, and it was pushed back earlier this year. I think it was meant to come out in the summer earlier this year, and it's been pushed back to October. But that could easily be
PC and PS5. Yeah.
Oh, is it PC as well?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I think all the Square Sony exclusives are now.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, me and Jordan talked about it last week, but a massive one they could get that I don't think they will, because it seems like it's not actually ever going to come to Xbox now, is Final Fantasy Remake
7.
Yeah. But it doesn't. It's so quiet on that side that it doesn't.
And you imagine if you're Sony, you will do anything to make sure that doesn't hit Xbox this year and just let Xbox suffer. for the next 12 months until they can release a game.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling through like what is slated to come out later
There's
this year to see
not a
if
lot. There's not a lot.
there. Yeah, I mean, even just for stuff that could potentially be a good get for Xbox, but Starfield was the game this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, God of War as well, I guess.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I just don't feel as excited by God of War 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's when I have it in my hands, I'll be
excited.
But
same.
like we know what that game is. Like, we know exactly
for sure,
what that game is.
For sure. I just it's bizarre because we were looking at this year from the perspective of last year and being like, there is going to be so much, it's mental, and we're not even halfway through the year yet, and we're like, there's fuck all coming.
But yeah, it depends who you are, right? If you're a Nintendo fan, later this year looks pretty good. I'm excited for Splatoon and Xenoblade's a big series, and if you're a PlayStation fan, you've been spoiled early in the year. Horizon was super high quality. GT7 was a great entry in the series. The Returnal patch to make that co-op brought that to a new audience.
Yeah.
They've got Forspoken, and they've still got technically God of War coming later this year.
Yeah, and like I said, maybe that Final Fantasy 16 might, by some miracle come this year. That'd be, a big deal. Maybe there's something from Capcom.
They're also announcing their Game Pass, right? So that's probably going to come bundled with a bunch of big titles. You have to assume.
I said this last week as well, but one big thing I think I either could announce is the family plan. I think a family plan, while it won't satiate people with, to make up for the lack of games, a family plan would be, a massive deal, because, you look at across at Nintendo, who have like, you can have, I think it's 8 people on there. I think a family plan where you can just share would be a massive deal, but it wouldn't make up for the lack of games. It would just be a
good news story.
Yeah, it would just be points for them, which I don't know how, what that's really going to do at this point. They need games, and like I'm still scrolling, and I found absolutely nothing that would in any way, shape, or form. I think they are going to have to announce something. It's going to have to be something we don't know of. That is gonna draw some conversation, because, like I said, it's just like with Forza, it's just gone dry. Like, there's not really any other than this conversation where there is nothing really to talk about. There is no conversation around Xbox at the moment, because there's nothing tangible. They are going to have to put their hand in their pockets, or maybe rush a game out, or maybe there is still that rumored game that they had an extra game that they hadn't announced. But what
is it going to be big enough?
And like, I don't think the people that leaked that even know what that game is. Like, it's so tight-lipped. Like, that either means they're doing a very good job or it's inconsequential. So who knows? I think they're in a really rough spot with, the double whammy of both Redfall and Starfield at the same time getting pushed back. It's rough. It's absolutely rough. And I think if they don't have something substantial or a couple of things, it's going to be reflected at the end of the year with their Game Pass figures. I think. I don't know if they're going to be in a place where they're happy again. I can't imagine that is going to. It doesn't feel like they've got anything that's going to like pull people in.
100%. I'm with you. I don't think they're doing anything wrong that would maybe jeopardize existing Game Pass subscribers. No. I don't think that there's going to be like a mass exodus or anything. I'm still a content Game Pass subscriber. I get enough every month just messing around with little indies, or on occasion you get a big game that comes through, like FIFA. Not FIFA. Like a Back 4 Blood or whatever it is. But yeah, I think you're right. I don't think they're going to hit the 30, the 35, the 40 million Game Pass subscribers this year.
Where are they at the moment? I can't remember.
Their last announced figure was, I think, 25 million.
Right.
so yeah, it's going to be a big dent for them, and it doesn't help that Halo hasn't been able to keep up its momentum, because that could have done the trick.
Yeah.
It's a live
Yeah,
service
yeah.
game. You kind of expected it to be on the same sort of trajectory as, say, Destiny, where you get those constant big drops, and people
Mm.
are always talking about, like, you can find someone talking about Destiny on Twitter any
Yeah, yeah,
time of
yeah,
the day,
yeah. I see it all the time.
all the time.
And I don't even play Destiny.
Exactly.
It's just people talking about it just populates my timeline.
Yeah.
It's mental.
And all the people who were super high on Halo when it came out, said it was awesome, have now come out and be like, okay, maybe it wasn't that great.
I mean, it probably was at first, but it was like all the other stuff has been delayed and delayed and delayed. Like the delay got a delay sort of thing. It was supposed to, Forge and stuff like that was meant to be out by now. I think that was meant to be out in March or something like that.
Yeah.
And
but I honestly, like, I feel vindicated, because I thought it was outlandish, the amazing review scores Halo was getting, considering it was half a game. And it was kind of on the pretense. It's like, oh yeah, but they've laid out this massive plan, and we're going to get this and this and this and this. And it's now like, guys, that game is not much greater than when it launched. And if you're not enjoying it now, then like, what was it that you were so high on at release? Like, it had a couple of maps, and it was fun. The mechanics were good, and it looked better than people were expecting based on that initial announcement gameplay trailer that we saw. That was a car crash. So I think everyone was just like excited for Xbox again. It's like, Xbox are finally back, and here are your 9s and 10s for Halo. And it turns out, like, no, it wasn't all that great. It didn't really capture everyone. It didn't get as big an audience as everyone. Like, obviously the numbers were highly inflated because it was free to play. Now, if Game Pass didn't exist, right, and that game wasn't free to play, I would be dying to know how well that game sold, because
I expected to be a Halo 5 situation. It'd be a similar sort of thing. People would, there'd be a spike at first because people would be curious, but then word would get out that there's bug rule here.
Yeah.
And like, the campaign's better than it has been, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, I couldn't play it because it was a mess on PC. So I didn't see too much of it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing the co-op stuff when it's available.
Yeah, me too.
I don't want to speak to it as if like I know what's in that game, but from what I've seen, like, it's one sort of open world area, like one environment, and it just doesn't feel like, from what I played the multiplayer extensively, nothing about that game screams like we've been in development for 6 years or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think the initial reviews and numbers bought 343 time, but I've said it a million times. I really do not think 343 could probably be a support studio on Halo. I don't think they're well fitted to be in the lead. It doesn't. Ever since they've had it, it's just been so mismanaged. I don't know. That could just be Xbox's fault. It could be a fault at the studio. It's both. The studio isn't doing as well as it should be, and Xbox aren't handling it as well as it should be. Like, how do you not have Forge? I don't play Halo multiplayer. I know what Forge is. I know how popular Forge is. How do you release Halo? That's like releasing a FIFA without Ultimate Team.
Yeah,
it's so bizarre. It's so weird. And like, granted, Forza's doing well, but that's really the only. You can kind of throw Flight Simulator in there as well, but how much directly Xbox have to do with the development with that, I don't know, because obviously it is a separate studio that they don't own. But Forza's really the only one that they're nailing and have been consistently. Like, Halo hasn't been Halo since Bungie left, really. So they did stuff after 3, I think, right? Did they do stuff after 3? I can't remember.
They did Reach and
sure. So yeah, since Bungie left, like, Halo hasn't been what it should have been. Really, I think they should have just moved on from Halo.
Yeah, for me, and I'm not a massive Halo fan, never was, but I just think Destiny does what Halo does, but better. I think it's feature rich. It's got something for everyone. It's got the story content.
It evolved the way it should have. I like that. They're not my kinds of games, but that is it was the natural evolution of that kind of game.
Yeah.
And Bungie have done a fantastic job with that. It's not perfect by any stretch, but it's the best thing of its kind.
Sure.
There is nothing that really even comes close to what Bungie are doing with Destiny. There's a lot of imitators to it, and even Halo.
Halo is an imitator. I mean, how
Yeah.
funny is that? They tried to make this live service with battle passes and skins, and it's just not as interesting. It's not nearly as interesting. And they haven't captured the zeitgeist, and they did briefly.
Very briefly. It was like, after Christmas, no one really. The conversation was, where is our shit? Where is the stuff that was promised? And it just didn't come.
Yeah.
Which is a weird kind of mirror up to the whole, the whole situation with Xbox. It is a lot of, this stuff is coming, but it's like, cool, when?
Yeah.
Oh, we don't know. It'll be here when it's here.
It's very similar to Battlefield in that Battlefield has such a diehard audience because of the flexibility those games offer. Private lobbies, private servers,
Sure,
loads of mods and ways of fucking around with that game to keep it interesting, keep it fun, and build a community. And that is what Forge used to do, and Halo used to have private lobbies, and you could do a big team battle, just with 24 players, just your friends, and invite people in, drop in, drop out, and all of that's missing. Like it's a really like bog standard. It feels like a free to play game. Like when you're in there, it's like it's so content light.
It feels like the base of something. It feels like something that should have, absolutely should have been built on by now, because that's what the promise was. That was the whole point of this change in direction, was that this initial launch was going to be the base. It's been over 6 months now, and it's still pretty much just that base with a couple, like I said, I think a couple of new maps and game modes that should have been built in from day one anyway.
Yeah.
And like I get like, pandemic and what have you, but there are smaller teams that are doing the same thing, and they've done it 1,000 times better. I really don't think there's an excuse for Halo, and on a bigger scale, Xbox is scheduled to look as bad as it does currently. Like there has to be some accountability somewhere. It can't just keep being like, oh, pandemic. It's like, yeah, but everyone else is moving on. Everyone else is doing stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't even think that this latest delay they have blamed on the pandemic.
No, for sure, no.
But I mean, we've now had the Series X and the Series S for
almost 2 years.
Almost a year and a half, right?
Yeah,
It'll be 2 years in November. It's like, what have they released? Halo and Forza. And
well, this was kind of my point.
Tetris Effect.
This precisely why I don't own. I mean, Tetris Effect is on PlayStation as well now.
Oh, the connected version.
Yeah. It's still kind of like PlayStation. I think there's definitely more, with Returnal and stuff like that. There is definitely reasons to own a PS5.
Yeah, I mean, you can reel them off now. Like at this point, absolutely. It's like Returnal, Ratchet, GT, Forza. Keeps coming.
Yeah. There really isn't. If Game Pass wasn't a thing, Xbox would be in dire straits right now. Sure, you can have the quality, of every minute detail being better. My missus is still playing on Xbox One, and granted it's the X now because she's using my one because I don't use it. But like I've asked her a bunch of times if she wants to to step up to the Series X, and she was like, well, what games do I get? It's like, well, none really. You can play them all.
Yeah.
Like there's no unique selling point to the Series X. There's no unique, like the PS5 has, you can only play this game, you can only play this game.
Yeah.
You've completely lost that aspect with the the kind of family assistant thing that they're doing. There needs to be a cut off somewhere. Otherwise, what's the point in making pushing consoles this hard, sort of thing? They're in such a bizarre place. It looks so sparkly and so promising.
Yeah.
Months ago.
Yeah, they have what, 20, 30 plus teams.
Yeah, and it's just kind of within the space of a couple of weeks, it's gone up in smoke.
Yeah,
It's bonkers.
and they want to
Like
buy
literally,
Activision, yeah.
yeah. Like literally, like last week, me and Jordan were pretty positive on Xbox, and now with this delay, it's like they've literally got nothing. I think those two games kind of papered over a bit, that Xbox really didn't have a lot coming this year, and now they're gone. It's like, shit, there really is nothing.
Yeah.
There is no, like, there's no kind of hook to, they'll put their hand in the pocket and get something, but it's not theirs. It's still the same argument as before. It's like they're not organically producing something that is Xbox through and through. They're going and picking up someone else's thing. Whereas like you on the PlayStation side of stuff, on Nintendo side of stuff, there is, homegrown content that is theirs through and through, that speaks to their audience.
Yeah.
Xbox don't have that. And it's bizarre because it feels like it's there. It feels like it's right there to grab if they had someone in the exactly.
They just need some decent producers in there to be like, guys, we can't make this work in this time period, cut it out.
Exactly. It feels like, I'm sure Phil is, he's done wonders for Xbox, but it doesn't feel like he's got that kind of cutthroat necessity.
Yeah, he's not 100%. Yeah, he's not cutthroat enough to be like, this game has to ship, and then have a team around him who can find a way of shipping a game feature complete but still cutting things out. Like,
it's the kind of rich boy problem where there's always a fallback. It's not like this has to come out, otherwise we're screwed. It is kind of the, it feels like the rich kid in school is like, well, mum will just give me money or something like that. Like, well, no, it's, you need to do this or it's screwed. Like, like PlayStation have and so on.
In financial terms, like if you're a Game Pass subscriber, the thing you were looking forward to most this year probably was one of those two games. And you've now lost $100+ or £100+ worth of value from your subscription this year. And you can argue it a bunch of ways as to how you value Game Pass, how you get your value. If you play a game for, an indie game for £50 that month, did you get your month's worth of Game Pass? Like, that's up to each their own. But like, to be honest, like, I'm thinking about it. I said it earlier. I was like, I don't think Game Pass is in jeopardy of losing subscribers. But if I wasn't on that all access plan where I have to have Game Pass because it's part of my paying off the Xbox Series X, I probably would cancel. I haven't what for the next 6 months, like what?
It is a really, really, really bad time for it to happen as well, with all the Netflix stuff happening.
Yeah. Or people are considering, like, do I need to be subscribed?
Exactly. I mean, it was what, 2-3 weeks ago we did that episode, and then now they've turned around and been like, oh yeah, we've kind of got nothing big coming this year, but don't worry about that. We're going to still sit in your bank account.
Yeah.
And people are gonna, maybe I should just skip it for a bit.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, because you could.
There were definitely people that were going to just sign up to play Starfield and then bounce.
Yeah.
If they
didn't, or they stayed subscribed on the basis that these games were coming.
Yeah.
But then, even if you are excited for Atomic Heart and you're excited for 2 Point Campus, which I am.
Yeah.
I could afford those games for cheaper than Game Pass. You know what I mean?
Yeah, probably.
Over the next 6 months, if those are the two games that I'm actually going to play.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I think their momentum has just come crashing to a halt.
And like, I think it's actually really funny because it doesn't feel like it's hit us as hard until we started discussing it today, because we had other stuff we wanted to talk about, but then we've just been like, this is a bummer, man. This is really, it is really disappointing.
And they've got this big showcase, and I'm sure it's going to be filled with exciting stuff. I hope we see Fable. I hope we see a bit more of State of Decay. I hope we see a bit more of Everwild. Fuck it, but if none of it's out this year, it's just I
Exactly.
feel like everyone's going into it being like, oh, like are we
Yeah,
just gonna
yeah.
see a bunch of cinematic trailers for stuff coming out next
Absolutely.
year?
Especially if they are going to show off the 2 games they just delayed. If they are going to show those off and not have any, like, I hope to God that they've got something to replace them, but I'm not. I'm not confident that they do. I don't imagine Fable is close enough. Like Avowed probably isn't. Everwild we haven't seen in ages. I couldn't even tell you. Probably the last
Years.
showcase, which was a year ago.
No, it's been more than that.
Really?
Yeah,
Bloody
I haven't
hell.
seen it for years.
Oof. I honestly do not know. It would, like I said earlier, it would have to be a surprise brand new thing, or this thing is ready now, sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's so weird because didn't they with Starfield, didn't they pretty much say it was done, it was just polished?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like 6 months of polish. That sounds a bit weird. And now they've just delayed it. It's something doesn't quite add up there.
It's odd,
It's
yeah. And
weird.
I was watching Mr. Matty Plays. He did a very good video, and he said there hasn't been a Bethesda game studio delay since Oblivion.
I mean, that's only like 3 games.
I mean, yeah, but that's 3 games, right? That doesn't
Sure.
happen often. Most studios do delay their games, but to think that
God, that's
Bethesda's
what,
been
15 years? Is Oblivion that old?
Yeah, it was 2008.
8?
Yeah.
Whew. That is
Um,
nearly 15 years, yeah.
so like, what is going on?
That's like, and I get like the Xbox acquisition and stuff. It is going to throw some spanners into the works, but not to that degree.
The thing is, like, the fallback for the the fanboys out there, and if you're an Xbox fan, you want to be positive and be like, oh, Xbox is buying these studios. It means that they'll have more resources and they'll be able to make the games they really want to make now, and they're not going to be rushed to get things out the door. And it's like, you're right, but the penalty for that is it means that there's like no financial penalty for these delays, because like you said, Phil is going to get a get out of jail free card from Microsoft, who are going to be like, don't worry about it, there's always next year. And
I wonder how long that lasts though, because surely like
they're in too deep now. I mean, they're in too deep. Like, they've just bought Activision Blizzard.
Oh no, sure. I mean more for Phil.
For Phil, yeah.
Because I mean, I remember you said ages ago that if things didn't look shinier, that he could be on the chopping block.
Yeah.
And like we're back to that kind of stage.
Honestly, I think the only thing saving Phil right now, and obviously I don't know what he's like day to day. He might be literally fucking a genius, but or in the world's best boss and a visionary. Sure. But I think it's the fact that he is so everyone holds him in such high regard within the game community that I don't think Microsoft can afford to fire him, because everyone would turn on Microsoft and be like, what are you doing to Phil? It would be like Nintendo firing Reggie. I was like, that was never going to happen.
I was going to say that. Yeah. But it's weird because like he is obviously, Phil is massive influence, but like it doesn't feel like he does as much as Reggie did, or it doesn't even feel like he does as much as Sean Layden did, sort of thing. It feels like they had a much tighter grip on what was going on, whereas it seems like I'm not. Oh, what does he actually do day to day?
He's overseen just Game Pass. It's like, as far as I can tell, he's changed what Xbox is from a competing console into a new
subscription,
massive online platform, and brought in xCloud and tied it more closely with Microsoft at large, right? So it doesn't feel as disconnected from Microsoft. So he brought in what's her name, Sarah Bond, to kickstart Game Pass. She's sort of has that subscription DNA from her prior companies. But I'm with you. Like, I can't put my hands on what is the identity of Xbox anymore. Like, is it Halo? Is it Bethesda? Is it now Call of Duty? Are they going to be like, we're the
for sure?
What is it?
It was looking like it was going to be the RPG.
RPG, yeah.
And it's like, well, we haven't had any, so like, and like it could be with all the stuff they got coming, like Fable and whatnot. It could still be that, but like, when are we going to find out?
Yeah.
It's just that eternal waiting with Xbox. That is the massive frustration. There's limitless potential with all the money they have and all the studios they've acquired, and the Game Pass service itself, everything they're doing with cloud. There seems to be absolutely limitless potential, but it's just never. It's just sand falling through their fingers.
Yeah, it's a good analogy. I like that.
It's genuinely baffling. It's genuinely baffling when you got Nintendo. You granted they're doing a different thing. They have a different service, but they're releasing games.
Yeah.
PlayStation are releasing games. Valve released a fucking game. Come on, just something.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
You know
they make
like?
it so easy to punch them when they're down.
Yeah. They're no matter what, it's always punching up, right? Because they're Microsoft, like you can't.
Yeah.
They're not the little guy that you have to feel sorry for.
No.
But it sometimes it feels like with Game Pass, they're paying me to be a subscriber because it's such a ridiculous value. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of course I'm going to subscribe. Like, you guys are giving me all these games for like $15, $20 a month,
Absolutely.
whatever it is. It's like, of course. But it doesn't mean I like you guys. It doesn't mean I think like you're paying me to be here. Like, I can't afford not to be because you're giving me so much. For free.
And it's just kind of starting to call that into question a little bit at the moment.
Yeah. And like the promise was like, okay, we're going to be your best friend. And until we can get our shit together and have like a proper cadence of new releases coming out thick and fast all throughout the year, every year. And then we're going to jack up the price. And you're not going to question it because we're giving you more value, right? If you have to pay 20, 30, 40 pounds a month, it's fine because we're releasing a big game every 1 or 2 months. And it's like, okay, fair enough. But it feels like they're now like, please don't leave us. Like, we'll give you more for free.
Yeah.
We'll give you more for free. Disney Plus, take it. EA Play,
right.
Take it. UB Plus, take it. Just stay.
Yeah.
Please don't go.
Yeah. And, absolutely. Call of Duty's coming. Like, it's weird because I don't think we felt further away from that reality becoming a thing with all these delays now. It feels like we're never closer to seeing that reality. It feels like we're just always at arm's length of that.
Yeah.
And it just it's bizarre. At this point, it honestly feels like me waiting for Beyond Good and Evil 2. Like, it's just not. Is it ever going to happen? Who knows?
But like, at least UB does release like the big hitters every year. You know, they get an Assassin's Creed out without fail. They get a Far Cry out without fail. They always have some kind of Tom Clancy game. But yes, there's a lot like, okay, Skull and Bones and Beyond Good and Evil and the Avatar game. They've kind of been elusive, but they do have at least a steady flow of games. It's like, that's the bit that's been such a struggle for Xbox. It's like, yeah, but we've got Forza. It's like, come on, that's such a niche genre for a select group of fans.
And like, we've argued it before. Yes, it's a big niche. It's a very big niche, but so is Dark Souls.
Sure.
It's, they're very good, they're very fun, but it's their only win.
Yeah.
Like, Game
Where's
Pass,
your Zelda? Where's your Spider-Man?
Yeah, they keep saying about wanting a Sony game and stuff like that. Like, and you get these cool indies like Tunic, which you could argue is kind of Zelda, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not Zelda. It's the thing. It's Zelda like. It's not. Yeah. It's so, but like I said, we're doing this in real time. This is the first, like, we talked about it a bit in the group chat, but like, it's really dawning on us as we're talking about it now in real time how dire this kind of is at the moment, and it's so disappointing. It's so disappointing because it's like,
but don't worry, they've got Contraband and Indiana Jones.
Oh my god!
And like, these, it just feels
it's bizarre. I like, I don't know. I honestly don't. I don't know what they're going to be able, gonna do to fill that void now. Because like the end of, especially when like we get to that kind of time and we look back on last year, it's like, well, we had Halo, we had Psychonauts, we had Forza. Was there something else? Maybe I can't remember. But like
Psychonauts.
I said Psychonauts.
Oh, no, there's
Um,
nothing else.
you
Just
know
those
that
three.
they knocked it out of the park at the end of last year.
Yeah.
And now we're just sat here playing with the same games.
Mhm.
Which
Well, Elden Ring has saved them for the first half of the year because that's mighty popular.
sure, but that's not anything to do with them.
No, I know, but ultimately, like if you're just a gamer and you don't care where the
For
games
sure,
come from,
for sure,
you
for
can
sure.
play Elden Ring, and later this year you're gonna get a new Call of Duty. Hurrah!
Shock.
But it does feel like they had all this momentum. They're selling shit tons of consoles.
Yeah.
Sony don't have that much going on at the moment.
No, they're dead quiet.
Nintendo have been quiet for a while. They're gonna have
Yeah.
a big end to the year, I think. But
Mm.
like this was the time for like Microsoft to swoop in and be like, look
Absolutely
at
was.
Starfield.
Even if there was like a couple of smaller games peppered in until Starfield, but they're like there isn't. It's all third party stuff. It's all, you know, and like half of it's not even exclusive to Xbox. So it's not, you know, it's not going to make a huge difference there.
I think the only like Xbox exclusive of note this year has been Rogue Legacy 2. That is strangely, it's not Game Pass, but it is exclusive to Xbox.
Was Nobody Saves?
No, that was on Game Pass, but it's
Right.
it's now come to PlayStation. I think it was a 3-month exclusive.
Sure. Yeah, it's bizarre.
Yeah,
it's bizarre. And like you would have thought, surely they knew this was coming, so they would dip in and have something. This has been delayed, but this is on Game Pass now. That's what I would have done if I was running that. Like I would, maybe the Lego game. Maybe
that
just
would be a great shout.
put a ridiculous amount of money out there and be like, yeah, no, this is gone, but Lego.
That game is selling like hotcakes though. So
it is.
If you're publishing that, you might not give it away too cheaply.
No, for sure. That's why it'd have to be a ridiculous amount of money. But like, it's going to take something that substantial to correct this for the year. Otherwise, it's like, it's bizarre. And like, obviously, Game Pass makes it all weird because they're not relying on sales and whatnot. But like, they want to be a talking point. They want their name out there. They want to be the name that everyone's talking about. I remember we were all like, you know, what if Xbox gets a game of the year? They're not even going to get a fucking nomination at this point. They're not even going to be in any kind of discussion for anything. They've got zilch. There's bugger all. It's because that would have been the biggest thing, is if they got, you know, like Starfield was in a game of the year conversation or whatever.
Will this be the first time ever that Xbox? Oh no, because if they have Forza, they're going to be in the racing category, so they'll probably win a award.
Yeah, but imagine if that's terrible.
Yeah, I can't.
For whatever reason.
Yeah, can't see that, but yeah, it's possible.
No. But like, or if it gets delayed, which is highly possible. Well, we say delayed. It doesn't actually. It's all hypothetical. We don't actually know that it's coming this year.
They better hope it is.
It's kind of unfounded. I don't think we've had a year like this where they've just like nothing, even in their worst terms. Like there was at least a game.
At least had a Quantum Break, you know, or something. Yeah. Anyway, I've got to wrap this up because I have oh shit, it's way past time, so we're gonna have to wrap this up quick. But I think I think you're totally right. This conversation has gone from like we planned to talk about this delays, and then it sort of just slowly worked into, oh man, we're back where we started. And
Groundhog Day.
We'll see. It might be in a couple weeks time. A couple weeks time, we have to all take it back because the showcase is amazing.
God, I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope
that'll be great. Yeah.
We're not sitting here hoping that this is how it's going to be. We're like, you were an Xbox guy.
I was an Xbox guy.
I was an Xbox guy for a bit. Like the 360 was banging.
Yeah,
that was peak for me.
So yeah, fingers crossed they can turn the ship around quickly, because I don't think they can just wait. I don't think it's good enough to just be like,
no,
the Starfield's now coming in March or May or what. Who knows? At this point, honestly, would it surprise anyone if Starfield didn't come out until next November? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happened with Halo.
Mm-hmm.
God knows.
So we'll have to wait and see. Okay. All right. Tell us, I guess, question of the week will be, please let us know what game you'd like to see Xbox pick up and stick onto Game Pass later this year.
We've got nothing. We can't.
No, I would be really pleased if like it would be the purchase of all purchases, but it kind of makes sense if they could get Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 onto Game Pass.
I don't think they'll be allowed to because of the acquisition stuff yet.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know how that's.
We definitely saw Bethesda stuff come on to Game Pass before the deal was done.
Sure, but that wasn't as contested as this seems to be.
Possibly, yeah.
And like with the deals that are in place with PlayStation as well, because they still have like the marketing deals and stuff like that on their side. So who knows?
Who knows?
It's messy. It's very messy.
Let us know, what games you'd like to see come onto Game Pass later this year to fill the gap. I will not be here for next week's show for episode 99. So I don't know what the topic's going to be. Don't know what.
Don't worry, I don't know that. I have to wait and see what happens with the news.
But yeah, so next week, hopefully Jordan will be back and he'll be leading the show. Until next time, thank you so much for listening to Game for All episode 98. Luke, do you want to pimp anything? You've just released a new Elden Ring vid.
Yes, I've got a couple of Elden Ring videos out. I'm going to do some more Tunics. I fancy playing that. But yeah, just check out the playthrough stuff. They're doing all right. They're doing usual numbers. Our overall like watch time and stuff like that is massively up.
It's good,
which is good. Just maybe think about hitting that red subscribe button as well.
Hey.
That would be lovely.
It would, wouldn't it? All right.
It would.
Enjoy the sunshine wherever you are. I hope it's still sunny on Monday when this goes out, because right now it's glorious, but it is a
I've had to shut
Saturday mid-afternoon. Yeah,
it is.
Okay. All right. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Ta-da.